What's up, everybody? Another episode of Walk-Ins Welcome. I'm glad to be back because I'm just now getting off of vacation. I've been in Colorado with my son. I enjoyed it, but I got sick while I was there. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know, I did.
You actually got to use a client urgent care.
I did.
And which was pretty cool because that doesn't happen. Actually, it's kind of neat now that you're traveling and now you're coming across clients that you travel. Like, you were in Colorado, right?
I was in Colorado. Yeah.
So, like, you're traveling out there and I got sick. Let me go find the client. That's kind of cool.
Well, and what's funny is, and we'll talk about the client in a minute, but they weren't hard to find because they have this really good marketing agency. They have this really good marketing
Even though
agency.
they've only been us for like not long enough.
In all fairness, though, like I did a search for urgent care just because of where I was. They were in that map 3-pack because of my proximity. I have to go far out of the way.
And then you checked the reviews.
I did.
You became an actual patient. So
right.
pretty cool.
We'll do a in real time client review today on the episode, whatever number this is, of Walk-Ins Welcome. Hit the music, go. Blah, 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 blah.
Here we go.
This is not brought to you by Alani Nu, but let me just tell you real quick. We love Alani Nu because they are awesome and they send us corporate boxes of Alani Nu. We were drinking it long before they started sending us boxes. But do you want to hear what it sounds like? This is how you can hear what we're drinking. 1, 2, 3.
I felt like this is a beer all of a sudden.
That may have blown a speaker out of somebody's car. I'm going to take a drink.
Hey, but as a side note too, so Alani Nu's been sending us a care package once a month for a while now. And then we're actually in day 5 of this month, and it's getting me concerned. Now, Hannah's always saying, quit saying that. They always show up.
We're gonna
day
tag
5.
Them. We're tagging them in it.
So we're going to just send this episode right along to you Alani Nu people because we appreciate. I'm going to say this. There are 7 people in the office, and we go through 50, 60 cans of Alani Nu in a month or less. Maybe more than that. Is there an addiction to this? I don't know.
There's definitely a correlation. As all of our urgent care listeners go, oh my God, quit putting energy drinks in your body. Hey, listen, it's the new in Alani Nu stands for nutrition. So anyway, legitimately, guys, this is not a sponsored podcast by Alani Nu. This is more of a thank you podcast to Alani Nu because they always take good care of us. Now, moving on, I'm back from Colorado.
Yeah.
And my son turned 16. You know him. He actually works here, believe it or not. He does a lot. If you're listening and you're a client of ours, he does a lot of good work for your account.
If we've ever said the word map stack, he's highly involved.
That's what he does. Like, that's what he does, and he's good at it. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to spend some time with my son. He's 16. I've got 3 boys, and I wanted to take him, father, son, go out. We went to Colorado. We went to spend a fair amount of time in Golden, Colorado, Aurora, Colorado, Colorado Springs, something else that starts with an A. That's where we slept. And I can't remember the name of it. But okay. I mean, we were climbing in a vehicle, mountains. You know, we rented a Bronco.
Which you say the 4Runner is, you would prefer a 4Runner over a Bronco?
I did like the Bronco, don't get me wrong.
Like, what was the coolest part?
Of the Bronco?
Yeah.
So they have this little dial.
I'm a car guy.
Yeah, they have this little dial.
Like an off-road dial?
But I'm not talking about going to like 4-wheel high, 4-wheel low.
It's the GOAT dial, right?
I don't know.
Go on any terrain?
Yes, that. Okay, I didn't know it was called that.
The GOAT.
But I mean, we used it though, and legitimately needed it. So we're coming down off of Pikes Peak, which is out near Colorado Springs. And this dial is like, we're going to be in, we needed it to hold low gears. And everything in new cars, like you can't put it in low anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have this manual drive situation. And my son's driving. And I'm like, we need to find a setting for that. You know what I mean? Before you burn out the brakes.
Don't tell the renting company that your son was driving.
Well, it's Turo. They don't care. They didn't ask. There was no disclaimer on there that said he couldn't drive. Anyway, we gave it back and it was in perfect working condition that we are aware of. And, you know, it's funny when you're coming down off Pikes Peak, there's a stop point where they do a infrared scan of your brakes to see how hot they are.
Oh, that's cool.
And if they're too hot, they'll make you pull over. By the way, hot is 700 or more. 700
what was the Bronco at?
Like 60.
No,
we had it.
Gearing
we had it in crawl mode.
Yeah.
So like all of the gear readjusted itself. It went into 4-wheel low, and it held like 3 or 4 on the gearbox out of 10 maybe. and it just held it the whole time. He said I had to actually hit the gas.
Yeah.
He never hit the brakes. Anyway, this has nothing to do with the story, but to make a short story long, too late. I just wanted to spend some one-on-one time with my son before he loses all of his teenage slang, before, he gets all wrapped up too much into girls or all wrapped up too much into like what he's going to do after high school.
Yep.
And he's still my child. Yes, he can drive, but he's still my child. And I'm really, really grateful for a team here, you, the rest of the team, that would do such a good job to give me the freedom to walk away from my own company because I don't have to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, because you came back on Monday, and I mean, didn't you mark everything red to say like?
I did. So if y'all sent me, if anybody listen, if y'all sent me an email that week, I deleted every one of them. I didn't even open them.
Good.
Because I just hit a hard reset. There were 251 emails of things I didn't need to know because the team had already taken care of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality. Because, let's peel back the Patient Care Marketing Pro, Nick the Marketer onion just a little bit. So, see what's inside. So, you're really at this point leader / selling.
Yeah, I still sell. I still get on the phone with you guys.
Yeah. But once it's sold, you're out of the picture. I mean, there's some involvement, but
I like to go in and stir the pot.
But yes, yes, you do, especially when there's software out there. But anyway, but the reality is, with the exception of a client or two that just likes to interact with you, all the clients there's layers.
Yeah,
like if it gets to you, there's probably something wrong.
Yeah, there's typically a problem, or I'm wanting to do something different.
Yeah, or like, hey, can we try this?
Yeah.
So
I do a lot of let's try something new.
Yeah, especially with clients that are like super flexible with the idea.
Yeah.
So
like I'll give you an example right out of the gate is, hey, LSA's just launched for physicians.
Yep.
We have a couple of our urgent cares that also are primary cares.
Yep.
Let's see if they'll spin up LSAs with. Let's experiment on that. Let's play with their money a little bit.
Yep.
Now we do it as if it were our own. We're not just carte blanche doing stuff, but that's a good point.
But yeah, we're always looking for opportunities to like make it better.
That's right.
Sweeten the pot.
Yep.
So, but no, yeah. So you were gone for a week. Things went pretty well. No major fires came about, so it was nice. But I have to say that like you taking your son on a trip, just the two of y'all, is a goal I have like with my daughter.
Oh, you'll be able to, no doubt.
Yeah. So because I do think that 16-year-old mindset, because he's 2 years away from graduating?
Correct.
2 years of graduating.
Yeah, he's going into his junior year.
Yeah. So, like, this is it. Like, you only get 2 summers left with him. And after that, you don't know where he's going to be.
Yeah, specifically while he's still, for the most part, a child.
Yeah, he's still reliant on you.
Completely.
And he doesn't have, like, a different life.
Right.
So, but yeah, I look, because I love going out west when I can. It's such a good time. But there is something, when you go out there, as you've experienced, like, it's like a different world.
It's unbelievable.
I'm very envious of our clients that are out there because, I mean, obviously it's terrible during the winter times because you went summer and that's a great time to go. But when you go winter, it's like how much snow.
And I will tell you, it was right at the start of summer. Like
there was still snow left over, right?
Oh, there was snow all over Pikes Peak.
Yeah.
Like I've got pictures in snow.
Yeah.
But like the weather was between 65 and 72.
No, it's perfect, right?
I mean, I'm a big dude. I've got like layers, right?
Well insulated.
So for me, oh my God, it's my thing, and it's dry.
Yeah, and there's no.
Like
so when I went, so I've been to Yellowstone, I've been to Glacier, and so when we went to Yellowstone, we met some friends out there, and they were car camping essentially for 5 or 6 days before we went out there, and
I bet they smelled amazing.
Well, that was the funny part
because it was dry.
They hadn't taken a bath in like 4 days, but they didn't smell, and they said like we haven't sweated a bit. Like here in Alabama, it's like you wake up and you start sweating.
Right.
I mean, there's a joke of in Alabama where if you turn on the ceiling fan, like it stays on for the whole summer
and winter.
It just never turns off.
I just hit that switch when it gets cold and reverse the fan.
Never turn it like our ceiling fan is now on at night. So like because I have to like give me some air circulation. Yep. But anyway, but I just remember so we met them out there. They haven't taken a bath in like 4 days. It didn't smell, but they're like, hey, we're going to grab a shower real quick before we head. I was like, okay. They come back out and like they're like 3 shades lighter. So it just made me laugh really hard.
Because just all the dust and buildup.
Yeah. And like, so then when I went last year to Glacier, I only took, so I was gone for 11 days and I only took 3 showers the whole time. So two of them were at gas stations. But
hygiene. No, so right before we're getting ready to go to Colorado, I already didn't feel amazing, but I didn't want to kind of.
That's right, because you
speak life into it.
Yeah, because you were. I remember Thursday, Friday. You're like, I just don't feel good, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I said, well, maybe it's just your nerves about going to this trip. He's like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And it definitely wasn't that.
No, it wasn't. And I thought it might be too, but I didn't feel good. And I felt bad for feeling bad for and I didn't want to tell anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
But I told my wife, and she's like, you need to go to an urgent care. And I'm like,
typical patient.
The most dude thing ever is now to go away. Right. So we get out to Colorado.
Give it 2 days.
We get out to Colorado on a Sunday, and I just by the time we get there, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
I sleep, if you want to call that sleep, my ear is throbbing.
Yeah, that sucks.
So, but I don't tell Connor or anything. Like I'm not talking about it. But at this point, I can't even eat. Like I can't taste anything. It's not COVID, but I can't taste anything.
So funny that you and Sophie had the same problem.
Isn't that weird? Me and the dog.
Yeah, Sophie is Grace's dog that's had an ear infection, but she's great now. But quit eating.
Yeah.
Dear doctors that are listening, why is that an ear infection causes you not to eat?
I mean, I'm a big dude. I clearly want food. And
it's good food out there.
And you wouldn't believe some of the food that we were.
I saw some of the pictures that.
Connor was really enjoying it.
Was the cheese? was it the cheeseburger had the cheese like melted?
It was
everywhere?
just like the whole plate was fried cheddar.
Yeah, that sounds so good.
It looked amazing. I had one. I have no idea. As a matter of fact, I gave half of it. There was this clearly a homeless guy while we were eating outside, and I went ahead and cut my burger in half anyway. And this homeless guy walked by. And I'm Southern, man. It is what it is. We're awkwardly nice to people. And I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to be rude to you, but you look hungry. Are you hungry? He goes, man, I'm starving. I was like, here, eat this. And we gave it to him. Connor gave some of his fries. Dude next to me gives him a cup so he can go refill his drink. I guess he just didn't use it because that was kind of gross. But, mine wasn't a used hamburger. I cut mine with a knife, right? But anyway, all that is because I couldn't taste it. Otherwise, I would have pounded that hamburger to the ground, right? There was a bison burger. Anyway, I felt bad.
Bison burgers are good.
I'll never know. It was like bison. It was bacon wrapped bison meatloaf on a sandwich.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything about that sounds like something I would want.
So I've had bison burgers are pretty good. Like I wouldn't say like it's game changing, but there's a different flavor.
There is.
But then I really like elk sausage.
Elk is good.
Elk is freaking good.
I saw a moose.
Oh.
They got big heads, man.
I mean, they're bigger than cars.
It was out in a valley.
Yeah.
And I was probably the only one to see it, but it had the biggest head.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're bigger than your car.
I couldn't believe it.
They'll take your car down.
They probably will. Well, I'm glad it was down in a valley. So anyway, day 2, so that was Monday, and I'm finally just like, I'm tired of the pain. And I'm like, it's not going away. So Tuesday, I looked at Connor. We're getting ready to travel from Golden to Colorado Springs. And I said, Connor, man, I'm so sorry. We're going to have to cut something out of our trip this morning. I've got to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to an emergency room unless like my leg has been cut off. Because you're there for 6 hours minimum for whatever reason.
And then you get a lovely bill.
But this is the beauty to me of urgent care,
Yep.
right? And this isn't just like a kudos to our client, Three Peaks Urgent Care, by the way, if you're listening, it's Three Peaks Urgent Care. This is kudos to the industry for just being available when somebody needs help, right? So anyway, I do a search. I already knew where I was going to go anyway, but I just wanted to know what showed up. And sure enough, Three Peaks Urgent Care, first thing that popped up because I was relevant. I was in the search radius. I think it was 10 miles away. And did everything on clockwise, scheduled.
You're like, this is how this feels.
I wanted to know the whole process, right? Because I'm one of those guys who just probably not going to go to the doctor. Got into clockwise, and it was a pretty seamless experience. And when I got there was a guy that was managing the front desk. He looked like he was a nurse. This was the day after Memorial Day. So they were already closed the day before, so they were already busy.
Oh, yeah.
So I go in. Hey, how are you? Have you already checked in? And I'm like, yes. He goes, are you Nick?
That's pretty nice.
Yes, I am. Welcome. We're glad to have you. I've got all of your information. What? You got my information that I filled out? I'm sorry. I've never made the connection that that would actually work because they always hand me a clipboard no matter what.
That's actually never worked for me.
I know. So, like by default, I'm going, what do you mean? What?
Like I don't have to, where's my, because it's always that, here, click.
Yeah.
And then they hand you a pen and
Yeah.
you're like, but I did
Yes.
this. Okay.
So like a shout out to Clockwise from that standpoint. We don't deal with them a ton because most of our people are over on Solve, but like it was
Well, honestly,
pretty seamless.
shout out to utilizing a software, right? But
Mm-hmm.
also to the training and the processes of
Yeah.
Three Peaks saying, if they've done this, start there.
Yeah.
And don't just make an assumption they haven't done it.
Absolutely.
Because he made the assumption you did do it.
Yeah.
And so, and the fact that it's so nice to hear that they called you by your first name.
They did. They did. They said, Nick, apparently I was the only one who checked in online because there were other people in there, right? There were 4 or 5 other people sitting in the waiting room.
Yeah.
And he goes, Nick, and I was like, yes. He goes, I've already got all of your information. We'll be with you in a minute. That's hot.
And you had your insurance and everything on there?
Well, so it asked me to take pictures of my card, like through Clockwise. Take a picture of the front and back
So
of
you
your
didn't do
driver's
any
license.
paperwork once you got
I did
there.
nothing, man.
Oh,
the only thing I
that's
did is pay my copay. That's it. And they had touchless for that. So
You're like,
anyway,
this is too easy.
yeah. Here's the most important thing I can tell you is like they smiled and were nice to me, right? So there was that. So it took them a few minutes. There were a lot of people in there, but they were within 10 minutes of my check-in time. To me, that's fine, right? Within 10 minutes, I'm okay with that. They take me back. They get my vitals. He fist bumped me. He didn't shake my hand, but he fist bumped me, which I thought was cool because typically I just get ignored. So fist bumped me, sat me down, asked me questions, but was like, okay, tell me about it. That sounds kind of odd. Tell me about that. Like so it's just like the left side of your face, like your ear is hurting really bad and you can't taste anything and like just the left side of your tongue's burning and like the left side of your throat is burning. That's weird. Let's talk about that. So he's just
You're like, please don't be
he's not
COVID. Please
calling
don't be COVID.
well, I mean, look, he anger swabbed me. I'll tell you that. He doesn't, he's like, I don't know what that was all about, but he's like,
Anger. Lean your head back.
I didn't know it was gonna be violent. No, it wasn't violent. I just got a bad gag reflex. Right? So, anyway, I lay my throat back and he swabs. He goes, I got to do this for like 5 seconds on both sides of your throat. I'm like, what do you mean both sides of my throat? It's one throat. Just swab the whole thing. Anyway, so he does that. I didn't have strep or anything. As a matter of fact, they didn't quite figure out what I had. They just said like your ear has fluid on it. I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, he had to go. He gave it to the nurse practitioner. Okay. And they were busy. I've mentioned that a couple of times. And I had to wait there for a good 45, 50 minutes by myself. But what they would do is they would pop their head in and say, hey, I know you're here.
That's nice.
That was the best part because I can handle long waits if you just let me know that you know I'm here. Hey, I know you're here. There's our Wi-Fi password up there. Actually, you can just scan the QR code and automatically connect.
That's nice.
Okay. Okay. Right. So, but they stopped in the room like 3 times just to say, hey, I'm about to wrap up with this patient. I'll be with you in just a minute. Right. She comes in, she does a really good check on me, right? Checks my ear. She goes, yeah, you got fluid on your ear. That's weird. Or weird's the wrong word. Yeah, I can see why that would hurt. But she was more concerned about my throat. She looks like you look like you've been mauled by a lion in there, but it's not strep, right? So, and even today, still, like I can only taste certain things at the moment. But she's like, you don't have COVID, you don't have strep, but here's some antibiotics. And I'm like,
bronchitis.
is there anything that you can give me right now that's going to help me feel better? Because I'm on a vacation. And they gave me a steroid shot, and it did work. So,
I have to say, I have never understood how a steroid. I mean, I realize a steroid shot like reduces inflammation in
That's
the
what
body.
they said.
And that's because like I had a steroid shot for my back. And it only worked for like an hour, but I had other issues. But I'm always fascinated by it because I've heard like back and forth like doctors shouldn't default to a steroid shot, but at the same time, half the time like if you're in pain, it's because something's inflamed and,
Right.
it's just it needs to be reduced, and so that's what it's there for. But I'm glad they worked it out for you.
They did.
But honestly, it's that mindset I love because that sitting in that exam room for that long
it's the worst.
because
It can be.
because 20 minutes in, if you're sitting, you're like, they forgot me. That's everyone goes to that mindset, they forgot me. And you're like, I don't want to be the butthole that's going to open the door and look out the door and
Yeah.
say, and the nurse is going to say, oh, we're coming,
Yep.
like, It's because there's been because and you've done this too with your children. If you're inside of it, and you're just like, I can't stand here much longer because this kid's about to lose her mind.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Especially Addie, she'd probably be cartwheeling through the halls.
Oh, it's always like we're not huge screen people, but when it comes to those situations, here you go, Addie.
Here, let's watch some Dora, or what do y'all watch?
Super Kitties and Bluey.
Bluey, that's the one I was thinking. That's the one that everybody likes.
Bluey is amazing, but Super Kitties is just a TV show.
Well, I've got to give a shout out to Three Peaks. They did not know that we were doing their marketing. Well, I was dealing with the general staff, right?
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, they didn't know that I did their marketing, and they weren't trying to impress me. This is just how they do business.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying other ones do bad. I don't go to a lot of doctors. So I'm not going to get into they're better than everybody else or anything like that. What I'm saying, though, is like the general expectation is that people care for you. That's why they call it health care. And when you have people actually make you feel, and this is what I wrote in their review, it was a legitimate review. Hey, they actually made me feel like they wanted me to be their patient. And that's a good feeling. So like all of this episode just to say, are you making your patients feel like you want them to be your patient?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm glad, like, there's 15 urgent cares in this city in a 10-mile radius. Thank you for choosing us.
Yeah.
That's the retail side of things. That's the restaurant side of things when it comes to retail. It's like you could have eaten anywhere you wanted to eat and you chose to eat here. I hope you had a first-class experience.
Yeah.
And I hope you'll come back. Well, that's definitely how I felt at Three Peaks.
Well, and so we just did an interview podcast just actually earlier today, and I don't know if it'll air before or after this episode, but there's a phrase in that episode called "Let's Heal Healthcare."
Yeah,
and we go into that in the episode. But that mindset of where it I don't say it's sad, but it's concerning that we're so amazed by your experience that you felt like they cared that you were there.
Yeah.
Because it's not, obviously at some point that was not the case somewhere that trained your mind to think other.
Mostly ERs.
Yeah, right. Where and there's nothing against ERs, but the reality is like if your leg's not, if you're not bleeding out or surviving a gunshot wound, thank you microphone for shifting.
It got all sad and
there it goes. Anyway, I just ERs just have that reputation. They're going to take care of the most
sickest first. And I get that.
Yeah, like whoever's got the biggest chance of dying on them, they're going to go after them first, and I understand that. But
by the way, I don't think all ERs are like that.
No,
there's one here that's the closest to us, which is it's called Shelby. I don't know what the system is or whatever, but they get the worst reviews, and they have been nothing but kind to us. Like I had to take Samuel there one time when he broke his arm. Samuel's my youngest child, and this was probably 4 years ago, so he was like 5 or 6, something. like that.
Yeah,
and obviously, eventually they said you're going to have to go to children's, right? Because nobody will work on a child. But
that is the default answer here in Birmingham. Yeah. If you have a child and you went to an ER, they're just going to, unless it's just like they're kind of sick or something. But if it's anything else, like you got to go to Children's of Alabama ER because that's what they specialize in. Because we took Addie last year to an ER because our pediatrician told us to, and it was because of her breathing was off. But it was so funny having her sit in the ER little exam room thing, and all of their devices were for adults. So she's like trying to do blood pressure. They're like, hold on, we got to wrap your whole.
Double wrap. That's right. And there's a tip, y'all. If you own an urgent care, spend some money and get some pediatric size stuff in there. Just do it. Because there's a lot of parents out there that don't want to go to an ER, and they would go to you in a heartbeat. Their pediatrician can't see them right away all the time. Just get a smaller thing for blood pressure.
Well, and we noticed too. So because there are pediatric urgent cares out there that specialize in that, but the general public thinks an urgent care isn't really meant for their kid.
Right.
Generally,
at least not their young one. Maybe a teenage.
Maybe like a 10-year-old plus, but like the 2 or 3 or 4-year-olds or even a baby. We have a lot of urgent cares that can treat from 1 month to 99 years, right? And
if you're 100, you're cooked. Sorry.
Yeah.
One foot in the grave anyway.
Yeah, but that's so funny. But it is a reality of like, because we see it. We see the numbers and like, younger children, it's a whole market sometimes. And then you can kind of stand out a little bit to say that we have I don't say specialized, but we've put a focus on that.
Right.
Especially if you're a late night urgent care. If you're an urgent care, it stays.
I don't know about you. My kids only gotten sick after hours. Ever.
Right.
Like that's the only time.
Either they get sick at 8 p.m. when they're trying to go to sleep,
or they break their arm at 8 p.m.
Yeah, and then or they wake up sick.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, crap. And so, but no, like if you're in urgent care right now and you stay open past 6 p.m., you may want to make sure you're taking care of the pediatrician side, because that's going to be a big part of your target.
Yeah.
It really is.
Some good marketing in there for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to the emergency room real quick, what I was going to say is like I've had good experiences there too. You know, here's a tip for me. Yeah, I'm not expecting this from anybody, but if you want to love me, love the people that I love. They took such good care of Samuel. Gave him a teddy bear.
Oh, that's cool.
Gave him something to watch because I didn't have my iPad or anything. I had my phone, but they're like, here's an iPad we've got preloaded for kids. And a teddy bear that was handmade just for him. It was like some ministry or something that does that. Look, if you're a customer of ours and you say nice thing about my employees, I love you. Like if you love my team members, you're loving me by default. So
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but like those are the things that I care about is like, did you treat my wife good? Let's go, baby. 5 stars. You know,
Yep.
I don't care how you treat me. So
Yep.
Anyway, there's those good experiences too. I just thought that was funny because we were talking about the difference in an urgent care that I don't want to go, or I want to go to an urgent care versus an ER that's almost always a 6-hour trip for no reason.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious. Now I don't know the answer to this. So I'm curious. Did you get any aftercare information like
From Three Peaks?
Yeah.
No, actually, no. And you know, I don't know that they knew I was from out of town.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe there wasn't much that they could
I
do
was just
anyway.
curious.
Because there's one here locally that I don't want to mention, but like I remember I had COVID back in 21 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that doctor texting me 3 days later, hey, how do you feel?
Yeah.
The doctor
Yeah.
texted me, this is Dr. So-and-so, how do you feel? And you knew it wasn't an automated text message just because the way he was communicating with me. Like, AI wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I was just curious, but well, cool. I mean, so sounds like a good trip.
Yeah.
Good experience with a client.
Yep.
Did you ever message our point of contact?
I didn't. You're talking about Eric, but I didn't. I probably should.
So I would, if you may not be able to remember the staff member that was like who you interacted with.
Yeah, I can't remember.
That's fine. But
There were 3.
But
they were
it's
all
so
cool.
funny because like I went to we have it's funny, we only have one local urgent care that we work with. Everybody else is all over the place.
Dr. J.
Dr. Junkins, and I had to go to his clinic a few months ago, and it was a very nice experience.
Yeah.
And it actually shows in the numbers too. It's their Helena location. We were actually chatting with them about the numbers, and Helena's like killing it.
Oh yeah.
Like it just is. But I remember sitting in there and they were taking care of me. So I texted the doctor and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know so and so has been really good to me. And he just loved that. Like
If you love the people that I love, I'm
Yeah.
sure he feels the same way.
yeah.
If you love the people that I love,
Yeah.
I wish I had written down their names. I felt so bad though.
Yeah, it's
Like,
fine.
I felt like-
But you should light up 3 Peaks and say, hey, I wanted to say I had a great experience.
We should do that.
And by the way, mentioning my name makes all the difference. It really
That's
does.
it. Just say my first name, man. That works for me. Well, that's the story. I had an amazing time in Colorado with my son, even though I was sick. And the relevance to this is just once again, I stand behind what I believe. I believe urgent care makes a huge difference in the communities.
Yeah.
And this is just another example of I don't have a primary care doctor there. I didn't want to go to the ER and wait for 6 hours. Urgent care stepped up and gave me that retail. Like, I care that you're here. I care that you are a customer or a patient, right? And I really do. When I sign out of these episodes and say that you're making an impact on the communities that you serve, I mean it.
Yep. Awesome.
there you go.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all again for listening to this episode. If you have experiences that you want to reach out to us, hello at patientcaremarketpros.com. We love to get stories because we love to talk about them, obviously, like this one right here. But if you got any stories or experiences like, hey, we did this and it made all the difference, or we're actually not part of an urgent care, but we visited one, this is what happened to us, love to hear about that too. So, all right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Have a great week.